see y'all, and this is basically just a public forum for y'all to have any comments. Anyone that wants to get up and speak, if you would, I just ask if you'd stand to be sure everybody can hear what you say or whatever. And
Say your name.
say, yeah, state your name and state your statement. We're tickled to have y'all. And whoever wants to start is welcome.
Okay, I'll start.
Oh, right, go right ahead.
Betty Zacharias, I live in Ticaster.
Yes, ma'am.
This is very important to me. If I desire to use AirLife because of my health concerns, would it be possible upon my request to be taken to Guadalupe Medical Center because that's where my records are and that's where my physician is?
Well,
There.
there's your, this is our director.
The director of EMS.
She got technical quick.
Yeah, that's,
So we will transport you wherever it is that you want to go.
No, I want to go by AirLife.
You want to go by AirLife?
Yes, because of my medical condition.
AirLife will not transport you to Seguin.
AirLife will transport me here. I have talked to them 2 times.
They normally will not transport from a scene to like Seguin or to Florida. They'll take you into San Antonio.
They told me today that they did.
Well,
I don't,
I'm just being-
I just want a yes or no because my year is up with AirLife and I need to pay them again or I'm not gonna pay them again and I can't see
Okay.
paying them if they're not gonna come out here.
Well, so to answer your question, I can't speak for AirLife. I can only say what my opinion, or at least what I think I know about AirLife, and I don't believe that they will transport you to Seguin. If they say that you will, then maybe they will. The only thing I can say there is just hope
Get it
that
right.
when you call them.
But will you transfer from here? Will you let AirLife land out here? That's what I'm concerned with.
Well, normally they will only come if we call them or some other
Yeah,
responder calls.
but you would call them if it was my request and it was that bad?
If you absolutely requested, then yeah, we would call.
Okay,
But, you know, that's your request.
okay.
Very good.
anytime you do that, I would get it in writing.
I'm sorry, what?
Get it in writing. If they will.
If you don't mind, why would you prefer a helicopter transport you than us?
Because of my health situation, it would have to be,
Why?
I don't want to
I understand, but
discuss my health.
I'm not asking you to discuss your health, but is it because of some medication, a higher level of care, time?
It's high level care.
Okay, what do they provide that we don't? Or that you think they provide that we don't?
I know from experience that the team that comes with the AirLife is very, very, very well trained and would have the stuff that I would need that probably you would not.
Did you know that we carry blood on ambulance?
If anybody gives me any of your blood, I will sue the living daylights out of you. No.
All I'm
That's gonna
saying
come
is
from a doctor, from the hospital, but no.
our blood comes from the blood bank.
No, sir. No. I would not let you do that to my family or to me.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Is there any drugs that we carry that AirLife doesn't carry or that vice versa?
Not that I'm aware of.
What's the time difference, waiting on AirLife, and then they pick up and go back,
Depends on where
pick
everybody's
up here
doing.
and go to Seguin?
Depending upon where you go, see, the air bases are closing all around, because, well, for one, we just don't utilize them, because, yeah, some people may have a membership, but like AirLife, for example, they don't offer those membership programs anymore, okay? Whereas Air Evac does. And so we don't utilize those anymore, because sometimes, depending upon where they pick you up from and where they take you to, you're looking at a $15,000+ bill, okay? But most of the time, it's upwards of $30,000. And so we don't use them. I can sit here and tell you today that within the last 2 years, we've only called for a helicopter one time, all right? And out of that experience reminds us of why we don't call for them that often. And that reason is because oftentimes they'll give us a short ETA, meaning they'll tell us they'll be there in 15 minutes. Well, if we're way out in the county somewhere, okay, 15 minutes sounds pretty good because we know that they transport a lot faster and they can be there in 20 minutes. Okay, to a facility, especially if we're coming way out of the county. But after we sat there for 31 minutes and waited for the helicopter to get there, we were sitting there thinking, we could have been 3/4 of the way to Bantu by this point. Because by the time we waited 31 minutes, they were on the ground for 10 minutes, that's already 41 minutes, and then a 20-minute flight back. It took the whole time there longer than it would have taken us just to drive them straight to Sam's or some facility. So We don't call for air medical, as I said one time in the last 2 years, but that's because we have those trained paramedics, we have the medications, we have all of these things, we have very aggressive protocols. And so, you know, we have agencies that call upon us. I mean, we go into, you know, Bear County, or surrounding agencies, they call us for assistance because we have that knowledge, that training, that equipment. We carry most of the same equipment that they carry on the helicopter, we carry back for ambulance. Okay, we're not talking, we're not the prior service that's here. We are a new service, we're District 3, okay? And so every day is something new, we're looking forward, we're looking, you know, where's the medical field going? You know, where are we going? Where are we going to be? And so we're constantly changing.
Tell Barbara I'm not missing.
And could you come get him?
He's gonna be.
Would anybody else like to make any statements or any questions? I don't know if we can answer them, but,
I will.
yes, sir.
My name's Dan, Zach. My question is to you. What happened to Eagle Creek out here, where it was 25 years servicing us, and then you took over as the 1st of January? Why?
Because citizens within the area that's known as Kycaster petitioned Commissioner's Court to make that change. It was not us. It's just like the reason why you're here tonight is because we were petitioned, okay? We were petitioned to consider expanding our district lines to include or to take in the area known as the Kycaster area, which, for most of you should know in this room, is the last remaining area that is not covered by an ESD. That is why we're here tonight. That is why we are the provider for this area right now, is because we were petitioned.
Okay.
Or in that particular case, Commissioner's Court was petitioned to make that change.
Okay, then why does it have to be 10 cents per 100? Because I'm already paying $100 right now for my house. Okay, now you're saying another 10 cents, which y'all are saying what y'all want. Now I'm gonna have to pay $200, besides all the other taxes I'm paying. We're all retired. Most of these people in here are retired. We have a set budget. I just retired. Come on now. I'm sorry.
Sir, question is, you're talking about paying another 10 cents per 100. The 10 cents per 100 for EMS service, you're not paying it all now. You're getting that service for free. Okay?
No, okay, but stop and think now.
Mhm.
Okay, you're right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, Eagle Creek was been servicing out here for 25 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay, they were making off the people 150,000 plus for the services, easy. Because I've already talked to them and I've already talked to the chief over there.
Okay.
Okay, that's not what the 10 cents per 100.
So that, you're
So
talking
that-
about
that
the
was fine.
services provided for when they see your bill, that's what people have been paying.
They would come out and pick you up, service you, and then go.
The question is that we need to look into the future. Like you said, this is the only unincorporated area that is not in an ESD, that is not guaranteed EMS service.
I'll call Arcadia.
Well, that's fine. They're pretty good, and they can get here. Okay, but they're lacking in some of the things that you need. Response time is one.
No, they're just down the street at Lono.
That's why we
They're based out
want, we're called it frequently in Bear County because they have extended ETAs. They have ETAs of 30+ minutes, and so those first responder agencies such as District 12 call us because of Katie and can't get there for 30+ minutes.
Okay, then let me ask you another question. If, let's say you get, 10 cents per 100, you get the services. Okay, you said you're gonna have one ambulance out here, right?
There's one ambulance that's stationed here, but you have, in our fleet, currently we have 4 ambulances. 3 of them are staffed 24/7. So it doesn't matter if it's the ambulance that's sitting here, if this one goes out, you still have 3 other ambulances.
That's my other question I was gonna say, because Eagle Creek had backup,
Yes.
and then they've always got hit on the backup, and you know that too.
Our ambulances it's very fluid, they're always moving. And so the ambulance that here goes out on call, well, you got an ambulance right down the street that's inside the city of Laverne. If that one goes out and this one's out, then you got one that's coming from Stockdale. But they're moving around, they're relocating, they're staging. And so if this one's out and one of the Lavernia's out, the one is not gonna respond from Stockdale. The one in Stockdale is going to relocate and be more centralized. And that more centralized location is like in the Sullivan Springs area to reduce the response time. That's the whole, one of the reasons why we placed an ambulance out here currently is to cut down the response time, because it takes about 7 minutes to get from the city of Lavernia out to this area. And putting it out here, I can already tell you that we've already shaved off 4 to 5 minutes response time just in this area within the first month of our fiscal year of having it here. So response time is a big thing.
May I? The reason that we're not able to have anything to do with ESD 2, we belong to ESD 1, Fire and Rescue, as ESD. During the time that we were gonna have that election for ESD 3, some mental wizard over in the county failed to put our old Cacaster bunch into that election cycle. So we were left out. That's why we're just sitting out there with no EMS. But we do have ESD 1, Fire and Rescue. We can't, ESD 2 cannot petition to bring us in because we already belong to the ESD. You can't belong to 2 ESDs at the same time. So,
You can't go along to, because ESD 2 is a fire EMS
Right.
combination,
right,
so.
right. So
there's-
it's out of question. We just can't. 2 is out of question. The Reverend Don.
ESD, Donald Funk. ESD 2, we were under the volunteers out here for Lavernia for years. I've been out here since '81.
Sure.
Okay. Then when they started to, for some reason, the ESD from 2 went to the county and said, well, we can give y'all better protection. We'll cover them out there for nothing, which they did. Okay. And then when the ESD started, then when they changed from Eagle Creeks to all this ESD stuff, then here, about 2 years ago, I guess it was, ESD 2 came and decided, no, we want to give y'all service over here. We want to give you, because I was there, I know what they did. They wanted to give us service over here, and they said, we'll provide you EMS service over here for 10 cents. That's what they were gonna do. Then they had their big meeting over there, which, over there at the church, they had a meeting. They said, we're gonna do this and tax you, and we need to have a vote on it. Well, they couldn't have a vote on it because the whole meeting, just like he started, all the ESDs, before you can have an ESD, you gotta have a petition, just like the petition y'all did here. Okay? They didn't do that. They just went and had a meeting. At this meeting, said, we're gonna take you over. And I told them, no, you can't take us over unless you give us fire and EMS both. This was before ESD 1, I think, was even in function. And he said, you can't separate. You can't say, okay, I'm gonna provide them service, fire and EMS for 10 cents, and we're only gonna provide you EMS for 10 cents. I said, that's illegal, you can't do that. So their meeting, and I said the whole meeting was illegal because you didn't even have petitions. So they ain't like me that night, but that's when it all went by the wayside. You were there. That all went by the wayside. And then when we petitioned out here to do ESD 1, we had to do petitions to get in to ESD 1 because we didn't have anything after Cockatcher shut down. So we did that. And then I asked you guys at ESD 1, I said, why don't y'all provide, instead of going with 3, reset up your charter and go EMS and fire. No, we can't do it. We can't afford to do it. So that's why they didn't. And that's basically the reason now you got ESD 3 coming to take this area. So what area is everything off of 775? Is that already being taxed?
So this side of 775?
Right.
Is District 3 already.
Okay, everything, just like everything that's in
Actually,
precinct
It's
4.
a little bitty
Well-
pop out.
Yeah, so if you go down 775, this way,
Yeah.
this side right here
Yes.
is not. But now when you get down to Vintage, what is it, Vintage Oaks? Yeah.
Mhm.
So basically the line takes in Vintage Oaks and comes back out. So Vintage Oaks is actually already in District 3. And the reason being is because that's how the county had drawn the lines with the former Livonia EMS's coverage area. I don't know, this happened like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, it's a mess.
But anyways.
Well, it's just basically, that's precinct 4, that's precinct 3, correct? Judge? In fire? No, in the county.
On that side of
Everything on that side is precinct 4,
except where they cut us in.
except for that little piece there, yeah.
Comes across and takes in Betty and Danny, and that was because sidewalks on.
Yeah, it's just that, it's not even you.
No,
You're in 4.
no, I'm in 3.
You're in 3?
Had to be.
Yeah, that's right, because they took that area in.
They moved us to 4, yeah.
Did they? 'Cause they-
Uh-huh.
Okay, but that,
Yeah.
those 2 roads there.
Yeah, but you're.
Everything, the only part that's in 4 is from 324 east.
And all of that. That's all 4 over there. From this corner up here, it's 4.
Is it all 4?
Mhm.
But why they didn't take that in with this precinct, with this deal, I don't know.
Well, none of the ESD boundaries match up to a precinct boundary.
No.
But they, you know, it's just been a mix-up, but, okay, so let me ask you one quick, since I made that statement. How much have you budgeted, I know y'all just built a new building and everything else. Now, does that belong to y'all, does it belong to the city of Stockdale, what does it belong to?
Belongs to us.
Belongs to us, ESD 3.
Belongs to ESD 3, and that was paid for out of the taxes?
Right.
Is it paid for?
No.
No.
But it's 200,000, that's what we spent on
That's all we
So
spent.
we didn't spend
That's all we
2.something $1 million.
We spent 200,000 on the station quarters and
Yeah, that's what they should have done here, before Mr. Burdette was on board.
I wasn't on the road. I was in the bathroom and that's it.
I know,
Let me
'cause-
tell you something about how.
But it has all gotten expensive, folks.
Well, I know it's expensive.
Ambulances,
It's,
everything is
as long as it's gonna
crazy.
be, I didn't know that y'all were gonna move an ambulance, that's a great, I spent 34 years at Saratoga,
But,
in the fire department, and in EMS.
but let me add
So
something.
I know what you're doing,
So-
so, it's a good service, it's good as long as we're working the whole county and not, I'm sorry, but there's a lot of stuff in this county is all went
Well-
east. A lot of people out here know it, the money's been spent east and it ain't spent out here. You know, even though we're all paying taxes, it ain't spent out here. Spent on this side of the road, but ain't spent on that side of the road. As long as everything's,
There's nothing spent out there.
huh?
I live in the east, sir, and there's nothing out there. I live in Budo D east of
Well,
the county, and it's just rural
So-
county.
That's all I got to say.
Well, and I'll follow up with what you had to say, okay? So I think that we are very conservative with our budget, with the monies, with the tax dollar, all right? As we just said, yes, the facility that was built in Stockdale, because that is the only place that we don't have a station, or that we operate with a, like for over here, for example, we house with District 1. So we station with District 1, we house with them, we eat with them, they respond with us, so we're here,
Yeah.
we're at Station 1 over off of 87. And in Stockdale, we don't have that luxury, okay? And so, yes, we built our own place over there, we spent 200,000, we built that over there. By housing with District 1 over here and partnering with them, well, we're saving money. We're not building another station, we're not, repeating the process, reinventing the wheel, building all these stations. So I think that's being very conservative.
It is.
So,
In fact, to precinct 2, to ESD 2, whenever ESD 3 volunteered to put a box here, in anticipation of us having our petition to take this, President, what's his name over there in ESD 2?
Larry Phillips.
Larry stood up and said, that's a good deal because our business is moving the other way. And I don't know, they said that's a good deal for them, for us to get with ESD 3. I don't know what their problem is, or if they're having problems,
well,
but they're fixing to build a couple of other places over there, and they had to take out a $500,000 loan here to meet expenses 2 months ago. I'm just saying.
They don't run that operation right,
Well,
in my opinion.
and so, but to add to that, so we're housed here, our service area is just across the street, okay? We put a unit out here to reduce response times. It doesn't really make sense for an ambulance to respond and actually drive past us for a call that's right up the street here. And so, I feel that factored into the reason why we were petitioned through Commissioner's Court and said, hey, would y'all move us up under District 3?
Well, I'm with Betty. If Barbara shoots me, I don't know where I'm gonna go, just get me there quick.
If Barbara shoots you, it won't be us that's called.
Well, people have that they think that we're gonna just take you wherever we wanna take you, and that's not the thing there. I mean, it's.
That was ESD 2's problem. They'd only take you, ESD 2 would only take you to Wilson County.
That's-
Because they did it with my wife. They had to have another ambulance show up to take them someplace else.
Probably 50% of our time is spent in San Antonio. I mean, we do transport people to Connolly. I mean, depending upon the urgency or what's needed, or they want to go to Connolly. We have patients that want to go to Seguin. But I would venture to say, here, we got two medics in here in the room. Would y'all say about 50% of the time we go into San Antonio?
At least, yeah.
Where's the stroke specialties? Which
So,
hospitals have a stroke protocol?
well, so we'll either go to a Baptist facility or a Methodist facility. So
We couldn't go to Conley for stroke care. But I'll be flown out of there.
well, okay, so to be fair, they are partnered with the Methodist facility to where they can
I don't know. I've
assess
been
you
there
for
3
a
times.
stroke, and depending upon what type of stroke it is, they can start treatment on you, but yes, more than likely you'll be transferred out.
Same way.
They're not on the same capability.
Same way with Seguin.
Most hospitals have monitors now, and what they do is they'll contact the Methodist hospital, whatever hospital they're working with, and they'll get their neurosurgeon on, and they read their little monitors, and the doctor asks the
Right.
neurosurgeon will ask the questions, and they'll tell them.
Give them just a little bit of, for your deal, a little bit of how our blood deal works, how we change it over, and it's
So-
very rare that an ESD has blood,
Well,
or anybody else.
okay, so San Antonio Fire Department started carrying blood October 1st of last year. And then, 3 or 4 months later, we started carrying blood, and so we were the first rural providers to start carrying blood. And so since we've had blood on our ambulance, yes, we have used it. Now, every 14 days, we rotate our blood. Blood has a shelf life of 31 days, and so every 14 days, we rotate out with the blood bank. And so every 14 days, they bring us fresh blood, pick up the blood that we have, and then they take that blood to University Hospital, because that's the agreement that we have. We have partnered with STRAC, which is the Regional Advisory Council for this area, which is a region, and their goal is to have blood in every county, okay? Because there are many lives that are lost due to blood loss, okay? And so if you're able to put that blood out into the field, onto the ambulance, to where it's able to be administered, okay, when it's needed, now, not 30 minutes or an hour from now, we've seen lots of results. So the patients that we have administered blood to, believe it or not, if they wouldn't have received the blood when they did, they would have died, okay? And because they received that blood, they have now moved on to see another day.
Do you carry just one type of blood, or do you carry all the types of blood?
So the blood that we carry is what's called low titer O positive whole blood. And so that blood is universal and can be given to male or female, and it doesn't matter what type of blood type that you have, it's universal blood.
So David, is the plan to start the tax rate at the max, at the 10
So-
cents per $100 valuation?
So depending upon what these guys here decide to do as far as moving forward with ordering an election and whenever all that happens. So depending upon when it goes to election, when it passes, that will determine whenever it goes into the tax roll. And so that will determine as to what the rate will be. Okay, so if it's not, if you don't go on the tax roll, for example, till November, well, we'll start working on budgets, and then they'll set the tax rate before October 1, so usually around the end of September. And so, but to answer to your question, I feel that the tax rate probably for next year, we're probably looking at the 10 cents, because here's the reason why. And we had town hall meetings whenever we were petitioned to annex the Livonia area, okay? We have been over here providing a service for 2 years, okay? 2 years without collecting one tax dollar, okay? And so with that said, obviously, it costs money to be able to provide that service. And so we've been providing that service, you know, out of our reserves, or out of our savings for those 2 years. So we need to replenish those savings, okay? We need to replenish our reserve fund because, well, we've got ambulances to replace and breakdowns and things like that,
Well, the
so.
only reason I ask is if I thought that the cap
The cap is at
Is 10%.
10 cents, yes.
I mean, 10 cents,
Yes.
so that leaves you no place to.
We can't go higher than 10
Okay.
cents, 10 cents is the cap.
That's a state law. Wasn't the county providing any money? What's this
Yes, they
contract
were.
y'all been working under? They were
Okay,
providing
so-
any money?
So, yes, but now that the county has gone pretty much ESD coverage, 100% of the county, with the exception of the Poth and Stockdale area as far as fire protection, I'm pretty sure that money's probably gonna be going away next year. And so we're probably not even, we're not even gonna put that in our budget for next year, just because they wanted it to go away last year and then this year. So that money, so an ESD cannot provide service outside its lines, okay, without a contract. And that contract has to have a start date, an end date, and some sort of monetary value attached to it. And so what we've gone and done is that we have that contract with the county with that monetary value, and so that's what allows us to cover this Kycaster area, or this
Which was
area.
how much?
Huh?
Which was how much?
It's 53,000, okay?
$53,000?
$53,000, okay? But now then, but that 53,000 was already what they were already paying or giving in years past for the entire area that we cover. We cover 400 square miles. And so we not only have the Stockton area, we also have the Livonia area, now that we have you guys out here. So whenever we picked up the Kycaster area, there was no increase in that monetary. We stayed at what we were already at.
So the county was giving you $53,000 a year,
Yes.
even before
The
all
Kycaster.
this time you were already collecting the 10 cents in Stockville?
Before we took, annexed the Livonia area, we were only getting 26,000. Once we annexed the Livonia area, then they gave us an additional, which brought us up to the 53.
Even though they were already, they didn't start paying taxes until this year, right? You
We
went on
did-
the tax roll?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me clarify that a little bit. The county's been given EMS, when they were volunteer, and the volunteer fire departments,
Right,
a stipend for quite a few years.
yeah.
Okay, when the ESDs came in, since there wasn't all these ESDs, all throughout the county, they just continued.
Mhm.
So it's nothing new that we started receiving. Like I said, David said,
I was
we
just
get
wondering what-
26 something.
What the amount that you were getting for
And
that?
so the thought process behind the 53,000, okay, is again, we can't go outside our district to provide a service, okay? So now then, if Floresville EMS or some other agency that is outside our district calls us for mutual aid or some other type of assistance, it's not the taxpayers' money that's crossing that line and being used outside the district. And so that 53,000 or that monetary value, okay, that's associated with that contract, is supposed to cover all of that. Does that make sense?
So then you're gonna have to find out some other, so if it, like in Floresville, they don't have, Floresville's ambulance is still volunteer, is it not?
Well, it's combination, so they have two, my understanding is they have 2 or 3 paid people, and then the rest of them volunteer, or stipend.
Right, because they're just voting to do an ESD. Now, their ESD is only gonna be fire,
No, there's a fire,
or is it
Well, they
both?
got both.
Two
there's a
separate.
fire.
For both?
There's
They already got it.
There's 2 ESDs. There's a EMS ESD, and then there's a fire ESD. So there's ESD 4, which is EMS, and ESD 5, which is fire.
That's just what they just voted on, it isn't in
Correct.
existence yet.
Correct, and so you're looking at probably a year.
Yeah, it'll be next year's tax
Yes,
roll.
before, well, before that board is even formed and
Right.
actually doing anything, so, yeah.
Is it possible that maybe they could go down from the 10 cents? Or is that just gonna be?
We could give you a pipe dream, but no ma'am, not with our cost. It's unbelievable what the costs have gone up. Eddie's much more aware of cost of ambulances and stretchers and stuff. It blows my mind every time we get a bill for something.
They're always updating things, so a new stretcher's coming and
And it's mandatory.
it's a mandatory
So
that
you
you
got to
gotta go
do
to this new stretcher. It's mandatory that you gotta change to this heart monitor,
Well,
you know?
so to elaborate on what she's talking about, because it is a big expense, so the state mandated all these new safety requirements for ambulances, okay? And so one of those safety requirements, and Eddie, you can help me out with this, is the loading system that they mount into the floor. And so that system alone with the stretcher is $45,000.
Adds $45,000 to the cost of an
And,
ambulance.
And so.
It's mandatory.
Yeah, and so that 53 was talking about, well, that takes care of that, but now then we operate 4 ambulances, you know what I'm saying? So, and then we have payroll, then fuel, and so, it's a never-ending battle.
And your drugs.
And, you know, so our supply, you know, just, it's one of those things that's hard to budget for. You know, I can tell you that our supply budget has pretty much doubled from what it was last year. You know what I'm saying? Fuel, it's $2 today, it's $4 tomorrow, you know, so how can you budget for those? So, you know, fuel has gone up as far as what we budgeted, so, and it's just gonna steadily keep going up, because guess what? Call volume is steadily increasing.
I know for people our age, I grew up and they said, well, what did y'all used to do? I said, well, my grandfather threw me in a pickup truck, told me to quit bleeding until we got somewhere. And I mean, literally, that was it. There was nothing else. You got in a pickup truck and then you drove and tried to get, not to a hospital, you're just trying to get to a doctor. It just blows your mind when you look what the cost is now to what it was then. And like I say, so many of these costs are mandated by the state, and we have no other than if you're gonna operate, you gotta pay the cost. And it's not all bad, some of the things we need.
And not to mention you have your short, and of course, I'll say a bad word, the indigent program, okay? Like this past budget year, we had budgeted $250,000 that we were gonna collect on that. You wanna take a wild guess on what we ended up collecting on that? No?
Zero.
18,000, okay? And so we started off at 250, and after it was all said and done, the state sends us a check for $18,000. You know, so how can you budget, how can you prepare when you have that type of deficit? And we weren't the only one, okay? Every
San
EMS,
Antonio's a losing proposition. Half of our runs never got paid for.
Yeah, that's a.
What is the standard?
And with the ESD, you're required, we have now Acadian, if they don't show up, they don't do that. We went over this for years, it kept going. The business, I said, wait a minute. I said, we're not a business, we're a service. I said, if we were a business, when we showed up, we'd ask you for a check, cash, or credit card. I said, we can't do that. I said, we are a service industry. I said, if somebody was to look at this as a business, they'd look at you like you'd lost your mind. So you know, this will never work. And I told them, I said, we can work on the budget all we want to. I said, it's not a budget problem, it's a collection problem. And I'd like to tell you it's gonna be different, but it's gonna be that way from now on, is collecting that money. We just try to make your money that you pay taxes on go as far as possible. That's what we're basically trying to do. The best thing we've got is these guys right here. They're as good as they are anywhere. Yeah, all they've got to do is cross any county line from Wilson County, and they got a big raise. So David's got them scared, I guess, because they stay.
What's the standard? I know it's not standard. What'd be my basic charge if you just pick somebody up, say they had a stroke, and you had to transport them to Methodist?
well, that is a hard question to answer. Well, the reason
Are
why
you on Medicaid, Medicare?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if somebody, just as a, people know besides the taxes, this is what they're gonna have to pay, but you're gonna pay it anyway.
well,
But I'm just,
again,
I know the
again-
bills, I got a couple of bills when for ESD two, and it was ridiculous, you know, back then.
well,
And,
again, that is a very hard question to answer, and so I'll try my best, okay? And so I'm gonna use easy, simple math. I don't know where you live, but let's just say, you know, because obviously it's by the loaded mile, and then there's obviously base rates, and of course anything that's used. And so if it's just a regular everyday call, and we run you into San Antonio, I'm just gonna throw a number out there of $2,000, all right? Now then, does that mean that that's what you're gonna pay? No, that doesn't mean that's what you're gonna pay. Because now that if you have insurance, you're gonna submit your insurance. Now then, contractual allowances, discounts, all that's gonna come into play. And now then, once all that factors in, you may pay nothing, you may pay $100, you may pay $150. But now that if you have Obamacare, okay? If you have Obamacare, well, that is a totally different insurance, all right? And now that I've seen some claims come through, okay, and I've had people call me like, wow, man, this bill, okay? Because their deductible was $8,000 all right? It didn't pay anything. And because with Obamacare, there's not really any contractual allowances or discounts that's there. And so unfortunately, most of that amount gets passed on to the patient. But now then, you're a property owner, you pay taxes, you call the office and say, hey, let's talk about this. And so oftentimes we work it out.
It's basically the younger people that I was talking about it.
Yeah.
This room here, we're not gonna pay nothing anyway.
Right.
Maybe Medicare or the other. So
And if you-
we're
Tell them
telling-
what Medicare pays.
Well, if you have Medicaid, for example,
Medicare.
Medicare, if you have Medicare, all right, so it's like the $112 is the common balance that's left there for the patient. I don't know what it is, but, you know, so whether it's 2,000, 3,000, whatever it is, okay, between the contractual allowances, everything else, it gets narrowed way down. So even though we may charge $1,000 for this item, Medicare is gonna say, well, the most that we're gonna pay if we approve this, it's gonna be $200. And so that's all they're gonna send. That's all they're gonna approve to pay, that's all they're gonna pay, okay? So even though our bill is $2,000, we may only get $200 out of it. You know, if it's $2,000, we may only get $400 out of it. So, that's why I say it's very hard to answer that
Yeah.
question.
But I don't mind those people, because they pay taxes all their life. But we got lots of people that ain't never worked, ain't never owned no property, never paid no taxes or nothing, and guess what they pay? That's indigent care, and you still gotta pick them up. But you got to factor that in your budget.
Yeah.
Okay, let's stop along. But to add to, I had the privilege, I guess you call it privilege, of using their services about 4 months ago. Okay, and I'm a paramedic, so I had a couple of things going on. Is number one, I was laying there, I thought I was gonna die, but I was also listening to what they were going and the procedures that they went through. I know what they're supposed to do, and these guys, they were good. I was impressed,
Yeah.
okay? Now, secondly, we got the bill the other day. Can I be indigent now? When I sat there and after Medicare paid zero. Paid nothing. Blue Cross Blue Shield paid $800. I owe them $2,500. Okay? Now, you go, holy crap. But the thing about it is that the care and services that they provided, I know being a paramedic, how expensive, I know the equipment they used, I know what they did. You know, we have an option of either getting in the back of the truck and going, or have these guys come out. The tax dollars allows them to be sitting here waiting for us when we call 911. The privilege is that they come and they're highly trained and qualified. These guys over here, they're good. This guy teaches us stuff. All right? They're as good as they can get, but they're improving all the time. So, yes, is it $2,500? I'm going, oh crap. But what's the alternative for me? My wife
This
is
is so
dragging me
much
out to
better
the
than
truck.
what we used to have. You know.
Yeah. Oh, compared to what we used to have?
I used to give it to the guys that went out and did this for nothing, you know.
Yeah.
I did it, I got paid for it,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't really care. I hated the job. I hated dealing with kids, dying kids and stuff like that, it was rough on me.
Yeah, it's a
But
tough job.
the ones that volunteered that did this stuff, I give it to them. You know, that was all, to do all that, to take the training, to do everything else. But we never had no paramedics. You had EMTs, but you never had anybody with the training that we got now. It's something this county's needed for a long time.
Well, with this area, we got they consider us a no man's land. Because ESD 2 can't inherit us, the county's gonna quit paying for us. ESD 3 right now is doing this out of the goodness of their heart. If we chose not to join ESD 3, what are our options?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's several. We can either hope some other outside agency comes in and charges us, where's the money gonna come from? We can start our own volunteer EMS service, and who wants to do that? And it's gonna cost us an arm and a leg to do that. This is the best option we got for the quality of care we're gonna get.
I agree with you.
I've been biting my tongue, debating in my mind whether to say this out loud or not, but I recently had a discussion with a physician from San Antonio, an emergency physician, who had been on our website, looked at what we do, looked at our protocols and such. And he said, of this District 3 organization, he said, man, y'all are a fast track EMS and probably 20 years ahead of the average rural EMS provider. And I think the man was well qualified in his assessment and knew what he was talking about, done his homework, and that was his official assessment. We're 20 years ahead of the average rural EMS provider.
You're talking about collecting taxes. Those of you who were here with us in ESD 1 when we had a town hall meeting, we had asked for the tax assessor collector to give us a readout of the delinquent taxes in our district, just with ESD 1. There were 97 pages with 4 or 5 accounts to each page. And it totaled up to between $45,000 and $50,000 just for the ESD 1. Can you imagine what those people owed for the county and school and the water and all these other things? And so we could use that $50,000 in ESD 1. I bet y'all could use it over there in the portion of your districts that we're part of. And the problem is that they won't go after those $3,000 and $4,000 delinquencies because, and those people know what
And those people know
it.
it.
Because it's gonna cost $10,000 or $15,000 to do one and to take over a $3,000 trailer house. So, it's a darn if you do and darn if you don't.
Well, and our county's so different. You know, it hadn't been a few years ago, we were the fastest growing county anywhere. And what did 775 look like 20 years ago?
Remember it quite well.
Just some old trees and some sand. You know,
And some old folks died and their kids.
Yeah, there you go. So they developed it, so it's, but you know, it's, my grandmother used to hate the sign. Used to have a sign going to Floresville, the bedroom city, and it just drove her nuts. And I said, that's because they sleep in Floresville and they go to work in San Antonio. She said, well, that's the filthiest thing I've ever seen in my life. But it's so true of our county. People just get on 87 early in the morning, I mean before daylight, and the lights are unbelievable of the traffic. It's just, our county's changed and brought in some big things.
I was a trooper in Floresville in 1968, and I bet you
With a tree in the
500 cars. My sergeant weren't doing any work. Hell, there was nothing.
Got to stop your friends.
Well, I tell people, I said, we moved here in 1989, and we lived out off of Calabria. If you went to Bandera in 1604, it was a 2-lane road with stop signs. Look at it today. Down here, in 87, 1604, 34, 32, 1604, that's gonna be exact, in 20 years from now, it's gonna be exactly how it is. And we got to prepare for that today.
Look at New Braunfels and San Marcos in the 1960s.
Oh, yeah.
They're just two little old big towns. And it's, pretty soon, it's San Antonio and here's Austin. I mean, it's just,
And we're gonna have San Antonio's problems.
oh, that's about, people move here and think if they bring their kids here, we're gonna straighten them out. Well, we can't beat their kids and make them do right. All they gonna do is teach our kids something.
The schools are suspending them and they're moving them out here. The problem, children out here, our school.
And most people that come out here think they're gonna have the same services they had in San Antonio.
Oh, but yeah, that's exactly,
About
they
2 golf
expect
carts
that.
running down the streets with golf carts.
Well, I'm gonna say something real quick. I went on this board opposed to Lavernia going into that ESD. That's how I went on this board. And I was gonna make sure, you know, that the money was spent and just, you know, I was totally against it, but I was gonna do my civic duty to make sure my fellow neighbors were treated correct. I can tell you this, from day one, they are very conscientious of every dollar they spend. Training is very high up on what David's knowledge is way beyond anything that I can explain to y'all. But I want y'all to know that taking y'all in is us feeling like doing the right thing for our neighbors, but that costs money. That money's gotta come from somewhere, comes from tax dollars, the way that our state set up, the way we do this. Tax dollars and insurance. Well, we all know insurance isn't really insurance like we used to have 20 years ago. So I just wanted to let y'all know that I believe this board does everything in their power to give everybody the exact same service, regardless of whether you can pay or not. And they're here for your health and for your safety.
Any other questions or statements, or, and feel free, we are thrilled to death to see people. They don't ever show up. Even if you don't like us, we like to see you. I like to hear your opinions, and, that's the way we grow and learn too, because you're more aware of your area than what we're gonna be aware of it, what's going on and what you need. And our doors are always open. I mean, it's not, when you walk in the door over there, you'll be greeted and your questions will be answered if we can answer them. And that's by law, but we do it anyway. But that's, we're not gonna try to hide anything from you. And I promise you, he's got about as good a crew as there is going anywhere, anyhow. Well, if you can't do, you teach.
That's one thing that probably had, I don't know how many of y'all know this, we're already in the Stockdale School District. Scott there is our coordinator. They have their own training program. We started the paramedic class yet?
We're working on that. So we teach EMT classes. We teach up to the advanced level right now. Scott over there we're working on getting our accreditation, so we're hoping within 2 years that we will be able to teach paramedic classes. So that way, not only can we bring our own people up to that level without having to send them out and pay for that tuition, we're doing it all in-house. We're also getting into the school now. So over in Stockdale, for the seniors, we have 6 students in that program right now that are taking the EMT class, and then next year, we're slated to be in the Livonia school, or take the EMT program to the Livonia school. So that's what we got going on there. Not to mention all the other community relation activities that we do, such as car seat drives, for those that just need a car seat inspection, or maybe they need a new car seat. We do provide those through a grant funded program through the state. What else?
If we don't vote this in, and we remain an island out here, a county island, if something happens to Scott, we've got orders to drag him across the street. Don Raptor's bar.
Real sick, he needs to go see
Put
the
him over
neighbor.
there and Don Raptor's bar. And that's a fact. Or she shoots it.
Well, ultimately, it's going to come down to, everybody getting out to vote. Whether you're for, you're against it, whatever else, but that's your right. But it's going to come down to everybody's going to get out and vote.
And just to get it there is gonna cost.
Yeah,
and so this is going to be a cost to the district to put this on.
Whether or not you come on or not.
Oh, yeah.
When we're petitioned, I told them, I said, this is just wrong. When they petitioned us, we've got to pay for the election? And they said, yes, that's the way it's set up. I said, well, it doesn't seem right, but apparently it is. After going through 2 of them, we pay for the election.
Well, I hope there's not as much confusion as we saw in Livonia last week.
Well,
That was bad. I mean, you had 3 different elections going on, and I don't believe that we had enough help from the elections office, and I'm gonna address that with her and say, look, the problem is when they come up to sign in the book, they got that, and I'm an elder, I'm a senior citizen, but they got the oldest one in there thumbing through that book to find your name.
I'm not gonna touch that, no way.
So instead of having A through N, and M through, and then the Z's for the Zacharias examiner, have 2 or 3 books, and people sitting there, and that's not costing a lot of people, a lot of money for those clerks. They only make $7, $8 an hour for a 12-hour shift.
You had to do it 3 times.
Yeah.
and even though this is only for 13.89 square miles,
Yeah.
the Kaicaster area,
Oh, yeah.
the vote isn't just there.
Oh, I
As
know.
I mentioned, we are 400 square miles.
So y'all gotta vote to accept
So
this.
that means our current district has to vote to accept this 13 square mile area.
So you have to have two separate ballots.
So there's two separate ballots.
Two
There's a
separate
ballot
ballots.
just
I
for
own
this
property
area
in Laverne,
to
but
vote
I
to
live
be,
in Westville, right?
To be annexed.
to be annexed, and then everybody over here has to vote to
Accept it,
accept it.
The same
Just
with
like the same way we did
fire
District One.
Right.
But they ought to, because they've been in the same situation you're in.
But so I guess the point I'm trying to drive there is yes, it's costly, but it's costly because it's not just a smaller area. It's costly because it's a smaller area plus the remaining district that has to vote.
Wasn't the fee for just, or that wasn't the fee for when we took in this area over here into District One, that was about 10 grand, wasn't it?
So-
I think those elections are $20,000 or $30,000.
Well, it's gonna be 15 to 20 grand probably.
20,000.
That's not counting, that's just getting it done, that's not even really speaking of any advertising or anything,
Oh.
very little, that's just.
So we're looking at next year.
Spring, maybe?
Well, it's not on, there's no agenda to vote on it tonight. It'll be, I don't know if they're gonna call a special meeting or at their next regular meeting. The next opportunity to vote, if I'm not mistaken, is March. So it could be March or May.
Isn't it May, because isn't it May and November is?
I think there's March and,
There's
There's a
a
March
general
election,
election.
I'm not
I think,
exactly
or,
sure what it's about, but.
Not a general,
I think there's a uniform election in March.
The schools and cities have something in May.
right.
But this would have to be the other, I would think.
I would just like to say, I've lived out here, I'm Janice McMahon, I'm his neighbor, but I've lived out here.
I'm sorry.
But he's a great neighbor, but, you know, I want peace of mind, knowing that if I need EMS, you're right down the road from me. I'm also concerned with resale value of my property. People say, hey, what kind of fire coverage do you have? Do you have EMS coverage? For me, that's a selling point. Yes, it costs money, but you can't get something for nothing. And, you know, things are just gonna continue to go up and up and up, and we need this service. We need the service for many reasons. So, hey, let's do it.
And it seems like the older we get, the more
Yeah,
prone we are to
Oh,
do
yeah.
this.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But like I say, if y'all have any other statements or questions, feel free to ask, or we may not can answer them, and but I sure want you, I want your minds to be at ease when you leave here tonight about who we are and what we'll do, attempt to do for you.
I don't believe
You
it's
just
like
have to have one meeting, or do you have to have two like we did on the last, on
No,
this tax deal?
no, by law, we only have to have one public hearing.
No mess.
Okay.
This is the biggest meeting we've had of any of them of all.
Well, right, but I mean,
So-
like,
so-
the last tax deal, they had a meeting here for the
Right.
tax, and then they had a meeting in Laverne.
Now, it's not to say that we won't have another meeting.
Yeah,
Just
we
so we can
can.
keep everybody educated, but as far as legal requirements, we're only required to have one public
That's
hearing
what I thought, yeah.
before they're able to take action on either ordering.
This
the
allows
election.
us to vote,
Right.
having this meeting.
Well, we'll spread the word, the good word.
Absolutely.
It's a good idea, something we needed a long time ago.
So I don't think we have anybody against you, again you.
Well, when you go to talking about taking people's money and spending it, everybody's always asked, well, I have a lot of friends that live out of state, and they've all got state income tax. Well, why, y'all paying all this? I said, yeah, we don't have a state income tax. I said, it makes a lot of difference when y'all have to pay that state income tax.
Yes, some idiots that wanted it.
They talk about, well, you ought to have a consumer tax. I said, well, that works real well, except when you're in a rural area, and everybody goes to the big city to shop, well, all those dollars go out of your county and go into that area. I said, that is a true good tax, but it really doesn't work for rural areas.
Scotty's house?
Yeah.
You go back this way.
Is there any other
Sure that
questions or
works
comments?
327? Take 327 all the way to.
Make a motion.
Y'all just miss any time, y'all can get up and leave anytime you want, we can't hold you. So, you make a motion to
So,
To adjourn?
adjourn,
take 775 and you go all the way to the Woodlands,
Yeah.
you agree with
back this
that?
direction,
I'm good.
minus Vintage
So
Oaks.
we are officially adjourned, if you want to talk or visit or ask us anything else, you're more than welcome. I'll warn you.